father left as children and went to Hong Kong. My father did not speak any Cantonese. He did not have any parents that left with him. His family was wealthy, gave him some money and other goodies that was stolen by the families and the friends that were supposed to take care of him. My mother, only child of Presbyterian minister, grew up very poor. They moved around a lot. She had a lot of health issues. She had depression most of her life. After Hong Kong, they immigrated to Canada. My father was going to the University of Saskatchewan. My grandfather was a minister in Toronto. And my father and his college buddies wanted to find nice girls. So they would go to church picnics. And that's how my father and mother met. However, my father was quite a bit older than my mother. She was only 16 at the time. My dad was already in college. So they remained pen pals for many years. Then my grandfather moved churches to New York City. And after my mother graduated from City College of New York, she sent a now or never letter to my father. And my father, being the smart man, he said, "I've been waiting for you." And he came back to New York. At this time, he was going to Glasgow University. And so they got married. My mother joined him in Scotland, and I was conceived in Scotland. That's how I have the name Fiona Ball. Coming back, I lived with my grandparents for the first 4 years in Chinatown, while my parents worked in Yonkers, New York. My dad worked for General Foods. My mother was a substitute teacher. And then after 4 years, they saved enough money to buy our first home in Great Neck, Long Island. And I know Mr. Sun is here from Great Neck. Back then, everyone was Jewish. I was the only Asian, only Chinese in my school. There were 6 of us that were minorities. So grew up in Great Neck. I did not get involved in politics, but I got straight A's. I played 4 sports in junior high and high school: tennis, basketball, softball, and volleyball. And the only honors class that I had in high school was Spanish. Oliver speaks much better Spanish than I do, though, so I'm very impressed. Then I went to the Rochester Institute of Technology because they had a CPA track. And growing up, my parents wanted us to be one of the lead professions: a lawyer, engineer, accountant, or a doctor. So I was good at math. That's why I am an accountant today. My brother's an engineer. My sister is a doctor. We're just missing one sibling who would have been a lawyer. So went to the Rochester Institute of Technology, graduated, got an offer in New York City at Ernst and Young, Ernst and Whitney, Ernst and Young, one of the big 8 accounting firms. But by this time, my grandfather had moved out to San Francisco, and my mother and father wanted to go to California because of the diversity and the food and the people. And so we all moved to California, San Francisco, and I started with one of the big 8 accounting firms. Stayed for 5 years and then quit because there were no people of color or women in leadership at the time. And I started my own practice at the age of 28 years old. And I got recruited to be the president of the Asian Business Association. And that was the first time I got involved in politics. I had to go represent women and minority small businesses for contracting opportunities at the federal, state, and local levels. And I kind of looked around and I said, why aren't there more women in politics, in elected office? Why are there not more Asians elected? And then I started to figure out that elected officials, they get to make the decisions, where the money goes, what laws get signed, who gets appointed. And I said, that's not right. Why aren't there more people like me? And so I started getting more and more interested. I started the West Side Chinese Democratic Club. I did a lot of pro bono taxes for candidates that were running. I volunteered on a lot of campaigns. I tried to learn as much as I could. But my parents, my father, did not want me to go into politics. So he said, why don't you go get your MBA? Maybe you'll come back to your senses. So I went to Pepperdine University, got my executive MBA, and my father said, okay, what do you think? And I said, I still want to run for office. I want to help people. And my dad said, well, your younger brother's waiting to get married. You need to get married. So I found a nice guy that my father approved of. I got married. And then I said, Dad and Mom, I've been a dutiful oldest child. I've never caused you problems, never got in trouble. Can you please just support me? Let me run for office. And they said, okay, if you don't win, you can always go back and be an accountant. We'll still love you. We're moving to Las Vegas. And they left. And so it took 7.5 years of me trying to understand how the political system worked in California. I ran for the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in 2002, got elected. I was the only Asian Chinese on the 11-member Board of Supervisors for 4 years. Worst job of my life. Worst job. It was like the game show Survivor. Then I got elected to the state assembly, where I served as majority whip and speaker pro tem. I absolutely loved serving in the legislature, passing laws. And then I got elected as the state tax collector, State Board of Equalization. And my dad is like, well, at least you're not wasting your education, and your experience. Then after that, I ran for state treasurer in 2018 and then reelected in 2022. And finally, my father was proud of me. He understood. My daughter is the banker of the 4th largest economy in the world. So he was very happy. And now I'm running for lieutenant governor. He's not so happy. He wants me to go and make money. He says, you've done a lot. You can make $1 million, sit on a lot of corporate boards, be a consultant. But I'm not motivated by money. And so I said, Dad, sorry, I'm going to run for lieutenant governor. And it's getting harder and harder to be in politics these days, as many of us know. I'm getting attacked all the time. And now I'm getting attacked for being too Chinese, for being too close to the Chinese government. I mean, how is this happening in this year, 2026? But then we see a lot of things that are not right. But thank God, the Supreme Court justices upheld our birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
We've gone through the Asian hate crisis, which I think motivated a lot of people to come up and speak up and stand up. The Chinese Exclusion Act, how many years ago? And there are still people like us that cannot buy property in Texas, for example. We cannot go back. We have worked so hard to be here in this country, to break those barriers, to push ahead, to be the good Americans, to give back, to contribute, and yet we still face a lot of discrimination. And so I'm running for lieutenant governor, not because I'm a glutton for punishment, but because I will open up the doors to the next laws. Oh. And it's important because when you don't see people at that level, in those positions, able to make it, then you don't think you can make it. And that's true for all of us here in this room. So I want to thank the UCA, the leaders for your vision, for your leadership, for bringing people together. But we need to do more. We need to make sure everybody registers to vote. And we need to make sure that everybody does vote. Because in the mainstream Asians, we are not considered, high voters. So they do not spend money in our community. They do not take us seriously. They do not think that we can get elected. It's always the Latinos, the African Americans, right? And we're all sitting here going, well, how about the Asians? How about us? And until we mobilize, not only as Chinese Americans, but all the different API groups, until we all come out, the Lao, the Cambodian, the Filipinos, the Vietnamese, the Koreans, till we all come out, then we are going to see a change. And we are going to see a more powerful, united Asian American community that doesn't have to take discrimination, doesn't have to put up with it, doesn't have to sit in silence and in pain while this is happening. And so I thank you all for coming. Thank you all for mobilizing. Thank you for standing up and for serving, for leading and inspiring not only this generation, but the next generation. Thank you very much. Let's stand together, support each other, and stand stronger together.